Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Heal Yourself, Gwinnett. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Millman, and today we have an awesome show for you. This is going to be our back to school episode. So, this is for our parents out there who if you're listening and you have a week or a couple weeks to go until the kiddos get back to school, then this is the show for you. So Heal Yourself, Gwinnett. It airs on the first Wednesday of each month here on Gwinnett Business Radio. And each episode of Heal Yourself, Gwinnett, we aim to present topics to better inform you, to educate our community so that we can make better health choices, not only for ourselves, but for your family and for your loved ones too. So Heal Yourself, Gwinnett, our mission is to provide ways for you to live the healthiest and vibrant life possible. So again, we have an exciting show for you. I hope it's going to be, information thrilled, I'm excited to get you guys to think maybe in a couple different ways, think about some things that maybe you haven't before. And so before we get started, just a quick shout out to my boys here, the producers, Z and Trey. Hi guys. I know not everybody has a microphone, but they're all waving. Yeah.
How you doing?
Oh, just doing good, Z, doing good. So I'm glad y'all are here today. So all right. So as I sit down and as I plan out, my shows each month, I actually sit down, and one of the first things I do, or what I ask myself, or what's going on right now, obviously in this at this time, what's pertinent to the time frame, and two, what conversations am I having with my patients recurring? And as an upper cervical chiropractor, I do have certain recurring conversations with some of my patients and my families that come in. So I like to bring some of those things back to you guys. As I'm moving here, it's one of my missions is to bring that information back to you. So, like I mentioned, I'm in private practice. In Swanee. I'm an upper cervical chiropractor. But more importantly, I'm a family practitioner. So, in addition to seeing a lot of people, with a variety of health problems and helping them with those problems, one of the things that we are passionate about is we see the whole family unit. We see moms, dads, kids all come in here into the office. Typically, and when the whole families come in, it's not because they have, in a lot of cases, it's not because they have tremendous health problems they're trying to get over. It's that they're wanting to stay healthy. So we're having a lot of conversations about how to stay healthy. So having said that, right now those conversations have been certainly, around, everyone's the kids are a little sad because they got to start back to school here. So I'm going to start with what I think is the more obvious of the things that you might hear people talk about, with me, or if you're around the office. And then we're going to work our way to the not so obvious. So the first one on our list, first conversation that we're having are about backpacks. A lot of people, the most obvious question here, that parents will talk to me about is like, well, is what the backpack that my child is carrying, is it too heavy? Is it right? Is it positioned properly? And is this a cause of concern for parents? What should they be looking out for? And this is a concern because, many kids, what I see, a very common thing is many kids actually are carrying bags that are entirely too heavy. So especially whenever some of these kids in elementary school or the younger grades, they're tiny. These tiny kids coming in and they're carrying bags almost as big as they are walking around. So one of the things I found interesting is that, and as I've been reading on, with some research, I love my research, so I'm reading up on it. And there was a study that came out in a chiropractic Australian group actually did a study in February of this year, and they determined 80% of kids are carrying bags that are too heavy for them. So think about it like this. Just like grown adults can have repetitive stressors to their bodies every day, like working behind a desk all day or sitting in traffic on their commute to and from work. Kids have stressors too. These little tiny bodies can have things, recurring repetitive stressors. So, in this particular instance, one big stressor that might go overlooked is the bags that these kids are carrying. So, and I would even make the argument that, it's even bigger of a concern for kids to eliminate and reduce stressors because their bodies are still growing and developing. So, regarding physical stressors, a side note, sometimes there's nothing we can do about certain physical stressors, but sometimes there is. So, sometimes we can reduce these stressors. Sometimes we can counteract the effects of these stressors, or we can look to reducing them. Sometimes it just depends on, what we're willing to do and what's likely that we're able to do. So the first thing what we can do about the weight of the bag. Okay, here's a couple things. I'm going to give you some tips to take home with you as you're listening. First and foremost is a rule of thumb is that your child's bag should be no more than 10% of their entire body weight. I've read research saying 5. I've read research saying 10. I'm comfortable with the 10% mark. So a little math for the kids listening. If you're able to do this, 10%. So if your child is 80 pounds, then we're looking at the bag should be no more than 8 pounds. If they're 100 pounds, the bag should be no more than 10 pounds. So I want you to think about this. So anything further than this amount on their bag is too much strain for them to carry, especially for a growing child. So if the bag's too heavy, one thing that we can do certainly is, think about ways that you can eliminate that. I've had parents that flat out, they just go to the teachers or the school if there's a way that they can eliminate some of this. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. I had a patient once that I thought was kind of cool. I know this isn't very common, but she went to the school and she was able to work out a scenario where her child had the textbooks at home as well as at school. So he didn't have to continue to carry them back and forth. I don't know if that's a likely or a reasonable scenario, but for some people it was. For this scenario, it was. So I thought that was, a great way to counteract this or to keep that bag a little lighter. One thing I've told parents to do is only buy a bag, a smaller or medium-sized bag. Don't buy the big bag because then you're going to fill it up. So one thing to think about. Use both straps. Wear them tight. Wear those straps, high and snug against your child, or have them wear them so that it's against their bag. If your child's wearing the bag when they're wearing it and you can see space in between their back and the bag, then it's too loose and it's not going to allow them the proper support. So you want to make sure that those adjustable straps are tied tight. Now, although it might look cool, we want to use both straps, not just the one. I was notorious for this whenever I was younger, and no bueno. It's not good. We want to make sure that we use both those straps. If you don't, the body is naturally going to have to counteract the effects of that weight for just on one strap, for just on the one side, and so that's still going to certainly put a lot of strain on their growing body too. So encourage your kids to wear both those straps. So as a community service to our listeners, one of the things that I do offer in my office, if you are concerned about your child's bag or you concerned about a couple different things, I am happy to offer a complimentary backpack screening. Our community, Gwinnett County, if this is something that's a concern of you, bring your kid's bag into the office. I'll take a look at it free of charge. Let me take a look and see what's going on. So reach out to my office, Swanee Spine and Wellness Center, and I will extend this service to our Heal Yourself Gwinnett listeners. So mention that you heard this that on our show. So secondly. Did you get all that, Z?
I got it.
You got all that? Okay. Look, there
it.
we go. Yeah. Okay. We have a bag in the corner. Now, is yours proper? Oh, you don't have a mic. I know. I did. I put you right there, didn't I? So I'll read your thoughts and put them onto that. So that looks a little heavy, my friend. So, okay. All right. Our listeners may not be able to see this, but now, is it tight now? You know what? Not bad. That's pretty snug. There you go. As long as you're carrying that on both straps, that one's not too bad. All right. So very good, Trey.
So you say not too much space in between the backpack and the back?
You want to have it flush to your back.
To your back.
Yeah. You want to have it flush to your back. Just like how his Troy straps are snug. Yeah, you want to have that there. So, he's going to come over here and are you going to give us a comment? Oh, you're going to model. Oh, yes. Very good. Yes. See? So, yes, the bag is flush to his back, and now turn on and face the front. And the straps are snug. So you want to look for that. You also don't want to see, one thing too here is you also don't want to make sure that when your child is little, that you don't want the bag going 4 inches below their waist. You don't want it going way down below here too. So, there's natural rounding of the back right here. You want the bag to fit flush to that natural, a little bit of the curvature that you'll see right there. Gotcha. So something to think about. All right, guys. So little tips there. Wow. Thank you to our model.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm even going to give a round of applause to our model here. Thank you.
You said it earlier when the head muncher is not in, we play around.
Yeah, our head producer's not in today, so So if he ends up listening, then yeah, we're all playing around in here. So nicely done. So, all right. Second thing that we do need to talk about, and is a regular topic of conversation. For parents actually not sure what to do sometimes before they come in as patients, or a part of our practice family, is headaches. Kids and headaches. And I could talk and have talked, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look back into my archives, but I've already done a show or two just on headaches and migraine headaches. And those shows were geared towards adults. But one of the things I see, kids aren't immune to this, and it'll absolutely break my heart. So many people are suffering from headaches and migraine headaches. And the sad piece is when kids have headaches, especially recurring headaches. We've talked about too, if your child is receiving more than, and I feel if they get more than 3 to 4 headaches a month for a child, that is not normal. It's cause of concern, and they can get help for that. So it's something to look at. So, but that could be due for a couple of different reasons. So, especially in kids, couple things that you want to be aware of. If your child is suffering, or if they're coming home and saying that they're having a headache today. So many people just brush aside headache symptoms, and that is a travesty in and of itself. But for kids, it definitely needs to be taken seriously. So a common theme I see regarding kids and headaches, particularly with kids and headaches, is that they tend to occur at the end of the day. So at the end of or school's almost getting out, or once they get home. And a very common reason for this is dehydration. These kids are dehydrated, or whatever they have had to drink for the day. Maybe it's a sugary drink, or a Gatorade, or a Powerade, something with a lot of sugar in it. Hopefully not soda if they've been at school, but sometimes it's soda. These things they can already be dehydrated, so they're sitting in school, don't have access to, a lot of water sometimes. And so a lot of it is they're not having access, or not drinking pure, clean water throughout the day. So another common reason is fatigue, whether it be, mental fatigue, or physical or structural fatigue. And your kids, more times than not, and for kids in particular, this is generally more physical fatigue. And what I mean by that is that our body, and especially even a child's body, was not designed to look down all day, whether we're reading a book or on their phones all day. That puts your spine, your neck, your head into an unnatural position. And this position actually it puts a lot of strain on your head and your neck, and especially these muscles in the back side of your spine here. So, if this is recurring all day throughout the day, it's going to put a lot of strain on them. And so that tension, that recurring stress actually can cause headaches. Another reason for headaches is, and what I see and what I absolutely have to rule out for my patients, is due to a spinal misalignment. Very common. So what many of our practice members have sought help for over the course of, whether children, or parents, was they wanted to rule out if their headaches, because they were recurring so often, there wasn't a lot of rhyme or reason to them, was to see if it was related to a spinal misalignment. And usually it is. That's what I see. So if it's not uncommon for a spinal misalignment to go undetected in kids. They're young. They're bouncing off the walls. They're not going to go up to mommy and daddy and say, "Hey, mommy, I have back pain today." It's not how their bodies work. So a lot of times what we will see is the number one reason that causes a spinal misalignment to flare up is fatigue or strain. Okay. So what I mean by that is if there's a spinal misalignment present, that typically is lying dormant or undetected throughout the course of the day as their body is becoming more and more stressed. This fatigue and strain can really allow this to manifest itself, in a headache. So I certainly see that, getting that detected. Kids are way awesome under chiropractic care because they respond, it's significantly faster than adults do. And so what we'll see is, eliminating those physical stressors allows their body not to have to, fatigue and, become under strain so fast throughout the day. And it eliminates that. It takes out that stressor. So that's way cool. So you look like you have a question. I see it. I see the wheels spinning. What you got, my friend?
Well,
what you got?
You was talking about the stressor, and I wanted to ask you. My son has a back injury, and he's back home in Louisiana. But he then seen a chiropractor. But is it healthy for him to lay down all day with a back injury like that?
Well, I would need more info, okay? Because there's a lot of missing pieces to that. I mean, because there could be a lot of pieces to that. So I definitely want to get some info. So my first instinct is no, our body should be craving movement and physical activity. Like our body is meant to move and get those oxygen to the tissues. Okay. But if he's craving to lay down all day, I'd be curious to look into that. Okay. So I'd be curious, what's really going on. So that would take, a thorough approach, a thorough evaluation. Okay. And, but yeah, typically that's not normal. I mean, our bodies, we're meant to be vibrant. We're meant to want to move when we don't want to. When this goes for adults as well as children, when you don't want to move or you don't feel like moving. Okay. That's what you need to look at. Why is your body just, I don't want it. I don't want to. So we want to look at. So yeah, for sure. Let's. I'd be curious to get some more information on that one. Okay. So. But
I know you speaking on back to school, and also bringing back to school. You bring in fall sports, and with kids, you're talking about headaches. Now we're talking about football, and I've been out at the youth football practice, and I know it is hot.
It is hot.
And
it's hot. We had hot Atlanta
water once before, and it the water intake. After practice, do you think they should have like some Gatorade or something else with a little more electrolyte besides water?
So you can have electrolyte, and I'm a firm believer that whenever you are excessively sweating, you are going to lose your electrolytes. You do need to replenish those. You can't just replenish it with water. Now the ratio and what to drink, I have felt that. And this is a little bit more of like when sports medicine starts getting into the picture. But what I would say is you do need a combination of both, but not all. I don't agree with all the electrolytes or all replenishing on like your Gatorades and your Powerades. You got to be careful about those because they do have sugar in them. Right. So you got to be we've actually had the conversation about coconut water. And that's fine and that's good to an extent, but you still have to replenish with just pure clean water. Okay. So even if it has water in it, that's not just pure clean water. So you do need to have, I would say, you need to whenever you're going to get out of the sun or right after the practice, being able to replenish, immediately and fill up those electrolytes again initially, and then being able to fill everything back up with that pure clean water. Okay. So you do need a little bit of both, but I tend to see, more times than not, it's going to be the water side. So yeah, and we're bringing that coconut water back into the mix here. Another conversation. So very good. Now the last one that we are going to talk about here is, before we do that, you are listening to Heal Yourself, Gwinnett. I'm Dr. Lauren Millman, and we are talking today. This is our back to school episode, talking about things that our parents need to know about, to be aware of as their children are going back to school. So now, the third thing on the third thing on my list, third thing that we're going to talk about is posture. Kind of big hot button here, and your kids' posture. And one of the things that I'll actually even actually have this conversation. Parents will come in and say, I need you to tell my child that they slouch too much and they need to sit up straight. And I kind of have to giggle a little bit about that, but so our mamas, our grandmamas, we've all been told you need to sit up straight. So now don't get me wrong. Now with if this is a one-time thing, or if we're pouting or in a bad mood, that's one thing. But I'm talking about one thing that I see and that it is cause of concern is whenever I have had a parent tell me, my kid just slouches all the time. They just never want to sit up straight. They're just always slouching. They're always hunched over. When they're walking, they just feel like they're hunched over. So, and that's like, okay, let's take a look at this, because that is a cause of concern. So here's why. Our posture is a window into our health. Okay. And that's a big one. It's a big, big statement. It's huge. There you go, Z. That's a tweet for you right there. I'm going to read it out to you. Posture is a window into your health. So in other words, your health is directly correlated to your posture. So now what I mean by this, and I will talk, I've actually written a couple of articles on this, is your posture should be unconscious. You should not have to think consciously about sitting up straight. If your body is in the position that it's meant to be in, you should naturally just want to sit up straight. It should feel comfortable to you. If it doesn't, and you find yourself just always feeling that you have to slouch because your body just doesn't feel like holding itself upright, this is kind of going back to that fatigue comment that we mentioned earlier. The body just isn't really able in a position to kind of hold itself upright. So that's something that we want to pay attention to. So many, many times, poor posture is a sign that it's a sign of poor health, not the cause of it. That's a big one. Poor posture is a sign of poor health, not the cause of it. So often when you see poor posture, there's stuff going on in the background that if it's not already causing a health problem to occur, the likelihood of that occurring at some point is great. So that's something that you want to get checked out. Your children should be in a balanced and aligned position. And it's not just because they're lazy and they want to slouch over. If this is a recurring thing, it definitely needs to be checked out. So for our parents out there, yes, it is important for you to tell your children to sit up in class, but also is it should be natural. It should feel natural to them. If you've ever had their teachers say, gosh, Johnny just wants to he's just slouching all day. Or if you see it at home, something to think about. Now you can do a simple self-test on your child at home. I'm all for trying to give you guys some information to take home with you. Have them stand in front of you, relaxed, their legs about shoulder width apart, and have them stand just in a natural, neutral state with their arms to their side. And you need to be looking, I want you to look at two things. I want you to look to see if their shoulders are level, and I want you to see if their head is level and their ears are level, okay? If you're looking at this, and if you see that one shoulder is not lined up, and if you see that the head is tilting to one side or the other, or one ear is lower than the other, then if you notice that with an untrained eye, then that is certainly something that I would recommend that you should have a professional take a look at, such as myself, because usually there's more components that I am going to look at. So I look deeper into that configuration, and yes, you can certainly see these things on kids. So now, certainly in more severe cases, poor posture can be a result. I have a frog in my throat, Z. Thank you. So poor posture is a result of scoliosis, or even a mild case of scoliosis. So the best time to get a handle on scoliosis is as early as it's detected. And not waiting on its progress. One of the things that I have had a problem with or challenges with is my conversations with medical professionals who their approach to scoliosis is to wear a spinal brace, or it's to a lot of times just wait it out and see what's happening and watch its progression. Personally, that approach doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I know that it's all the tools that those professionals have in their tool bag, so I understand there's not a lot of other options for them, or they're not aware that there are other options. I think this is almost an archaic, mindset, and there can be a lot that can be done to prevent scoliosis and to help it, certainly to keep it from getting worse, and to reverse it in many, many times. So my form of chiropractic, we utilize a very specialty technique, which does not require any twisting, cracking, or popping. So our kids love it. They love it. And they have a good time with it. So today that concludes my my 3 things for all of my listeners out there. To find out more information than what we talked about today, you can visit our Facebook page. Check us out on Twitter at Heal You Gwinnett. Or our website at healyourselfgwinnett.com. This has been another episode of Heal Yourself Gwinnett. I'm your host, Dr. Lauren Millman, reminding you to have a healthy day.